School audit. You should have gotten our policy. It should be on the screen there. Whenever a director is dismissed, it's automatic that the school do an audit. And we will need a vote on this tonight to proceed with it.
Well, let me understand what you're proposing. You're proposing to have a CPA come in and audit the county school books?
Yes, sir.
Have you had an estimated cost on that?
No, sir.
Well, I called a couple. You're looking at $40,000 to $50,000.
Maybe.
Okay.
But if it goes that high, we probably won't fool with it. I talked to Angela today, and we do have some funds available.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not for going that high, that's for sure.
Okay.
But it's required in our policy that you make.
No, it's not.
You're on board.
I know. It's not. You're talking about two different things.
Okay?
The policy in the policy manual is school activity funds, which is the money placed in the schools, the high schools, the grade schools, and et cetera. The school board must have an audit each year of all the funds at the school. And if you have a change in principal, then you're supposed to do a special audit. Actually, according to the law, the only body that can hire an audit of the county books is the county court.
That's not what our policy says.
This policy is in regard to student activity funds. That is not talking about the money that the board disperses.
But doesn't it mention director?
It says administrator, which is the principal. See, student activity funds is a whole other thing rather than the money that the school board disperses. And we've had, there's quite a few rumors out in the community that there's missing money and that Dr. Schauffer is misappropriating money and up to $1 million missing. I have one audit, I couldn't find the others. There's been 3 audits by the state comptroller's office for the past 3 years, and they have no exceptions in the school system. The auditor is completed this year, and there is no exceptions. He had an exit interview with several people, and some of them may be here. There is no exceptions this year in the audit. So it's a waste of resources that we can use for the students. But it's not actually in our legal ramifications to do our CPA to do an audit of the county school board money. This policy is referring to the money at the schools, which we do every year. School activity fund. I've got the law here. But there is no misappropriated money for the last 4 years. That's according to the state comptroller's office, their auditors. And the audit was not done by the state comptroller's office in regard to the change in the directors. They were actually already in place doing the annual yearly audit when Dr. Schauffer was fired. So it's been finished, and he has talked to Tootin and some of the county court members and has reported to them that there are no exceptions, no findings for this year. And there is none for the last 3 years. So I really don't think we have, as a body, Board of Education, have the legal right to hire an auditor to do the county books. The school system. Now, here's the law, Mr. Eastep, you're about to read it.
I've looked at this. Is this what you're talking about, Mr. Owens?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about TCA.
Okay. I know that there are separate individual funds in the individual schools, and they do get audited on occasion by an independent audit.
Every year.
Is it every year?
Yeah, we have to by state law.
And I know that the Board of Education's funds are audited by the state comptroller's office. And Mr. Owens is correct that the audits have not shown any exceptions in the past 3 years. The only thing that I think is that the Board of Education would have the discretion to hire an audit, but it seems to be with the comptroller's audit, it seems to be duplicating the efforts that have been conducted by the comptroller's office.
Here is the TCA 492101, county legislative bodies, powers and duties. Under 3, require its finance committee to examine the accounts of the county board of education quarterly or any time it may appear that the county board is misusing any of the public funds or exceeding the budget adopted by the county legislative body, or it may appoint a competent auditor to make the examination. The cost of the examination is to be paid out of the county funds.
Where are you getting all these
The Tennessee State Law Book,
$50,000?
I called a couple of auditors and asked them what they would charge.
And then when we first started, you said $475,000. Where are you getting all this stuff at? I mean,
I called 2 CPAs and asked them what it would cost to audit $43 million.
I think you're calling somebody in the neighborhood and they're telling you what. Is a Mr. Charles White in the audience, please? Is he here tonight? Okay, I don't know if you know Mr. Charles White. He's, I know Mr. White, and I've talked with him. He told me that they had an audit over in Cumberland Gap, and you said it would cost $50,000 to have an audit.
Of the whole county books.
Of the whole what?
The school board's books.
Just the school
For a
board.
year.
Just the school board. Okay.
Yeah, for a year.
Okay. They had an audit over there in Cumberland Gap, and that's just not of the school district. That's a whole town.
Yeah.
And he said, and the gentleman told me that the audit and the people that they used, which were very recommendable people, was like $7,000. And I don't know where you're coming up with $50,000. You know, you must be going to Washington or somewhere to get those numbers.
The difference is the amount of material, the amount of receipts, checks, and the balances that have to be done. There's a lot more money in the school system than there is in Cumberland Gap County. And there's a lot more checks being written that they have, and to do an audit they have to look at.
Well, you're coming up with all these numbers, and I was at some of the school board meetings, and you were asked, what is this amount of money, like $18,000 bill for, and you were chairman, and you said, I have no idea, you know, and you signed the check for those. You're supposed to sign the check for those. And now you're coming up with all this money that it's going to cost, and you don't even know. Do you know for sure?
That's what the man told me.
What man?
I just leave that out of it.
Well, you know, you're asking questions, you know, off the top of your head. And Mr. Owens, from my perspective, I think you're just doing what maybe some people want you to do to keep this. Keep us sober in this thing, you know, and we're trying to get the board to come together, but some of you don't want to come together to do this thing right.
What does that have to do with the audit?
What?
What does that have to do with the audit?
That has to do with Well, thank you. Amen to that. It probably don't have anything to do, but it would sure be good if the board could come together in harmony and work in harmony, you know. But every time we have a meeting or something like that, well, you come up and say, well, it's illegal. I didn't know anything about it. I can remember back when Donald Dobbs was hired as director of schools, and
I remember that too.
yeah. And can you remember a meeting back then at your store?
No, I don't have no memory of that.
You don't?
No.
Well, you must be getting pretty
Mr.
old.
Chesney,
I'm gonna see
Mr.
something.
Chesney, Mr. Chesney,
Yes, ma'am.
would it be okay if you assigned a committee that would explore the cost and bring something to the meeting on?
I'd be glad
and make
to do
sure
that.
that it's something within a reasonable cost frame. And then, of course, we want to assure our citizens that we are acting proper and with due diligence over their money.
Yeah, limited scope audit would probably be the best way to go. And I would be glad to do that and get in touch with you. Would you like to serve on that?
I would be glad to,
Thank you.
except that I'll be out of town most of that time. Sorry. I spoke and
got
then
you.
realized I won't be,
So is
but I'll try.
any other discussion on it? Everybody okay with that?
I make a move that we go ahead with a special audit.
Agree, what's the difference? You done cost us $1 million, let's go for another $500,000.
That was just my suggestion, that we have a committee, or if we
Okay.
could entertain the motion with
Okay,
a
I
cost cap.
thought you were wanting a motion. That's fine with me, yeah.
I mean, either way, if we did a motion with a cost cap, that might be something we could go ahead.
I'll be glad to do that. And when the meeting's over, I'll check on it and see who we can get there that's got the time and everything to get together. Maybe report back on the 12th. How's that? Michelle, Sam, and Dot. How's that?